As you can tell, it's getting a little bit later, so I'm trying to rush out these videos so I have all 6 of them up today. And now we're going to get into the first major experiment that I did when it came to the Yu-Gi-Oh Vanguard crossover, Yu-Gi Guard. This is Jesse Anderson's deck, or more or less Crystal Beasts, and they suffer from a big drawback, but at the same time, they have a very cool aspect to them. So without further ado, Crystal Beasts. So, what do we have? We have Crystal Master. So, this deck concept was created when these cards in Japanese were first spoiled during the Pendulum era. So, that tells you when I was creating these. This is Crystal Master, and he is the starting unit, and at the same time that he is the starting unit, he says he cannot use a ride deck. This is one of those situations where I told my friends that play Vanguard that this would potentially be something in future in Overdress, where there will not be a red deck. You cannot go into like a grade 1 because this card is treated as a grade 1, and also it has the conditional text for anything that's a starting unit, and it says basically the handicap that you give yourself allows you to have a semi like 5-card dig every single turn for a Crystal Beast, and he starts out with grade 1 stats as opposed to grade 0 stats, which are normally 6,000. So this is why this whole deck is built around grade 1s. Again, to preface more mechanics about Vanguard, you cannot go into a grade that you do not have on your current Vanguard. So this card being treated as a grade 1 means that you are able to access grade 1s to put into the rearguard zones, which are like your extra 5 zones where you get to play cards throughout the turns. So moving on to the triggers. So again, we skip an entire ride line and we move right into the triggers. So we have Amethyst Cat, which has the evergreen ability, more or less, that I have put on every single Crystal Beast card. So, which is, if you control 3 or more crystal units, when a unit you control is attacked, you can call it to the rear guard. So what this means is like if you have a bunch of Crystal Beasts on the board, you can throw this card from any rear guard circle, which is like the extra 5 zones, to protect your Vanguard. And then lastly, it says when it would be put into the drop zone from the field, you can place it into the order zone as a set order. So this is kind of then crystallizing whenever they die. So this effect right here is evergreen. It is across every single one of the initial 7 Crystal Beasts. So we have the same exact effect here on Emerald Tortoise. We have the same effect here on Amber Mammoth, but he also has the conditional heal deck, heal in a deck clause, which is you can only play 4 heals. And then lastly, you have the Cobalt Eagle as the last of the 4 trigger units that are the normal trigger units. When we get into the over trigger, we deal with Rainbow Neos. So Rainbow Neos is, again, like I do with all these over triggers, they are insane clauses and effects that can just completely flip a game on its head and make a player win right away. So Rainbow Neos does a whole bunch of stuff, and if you have all 7 crystal units on the board, you should be winning that turn. And on the board means in the order zone or on the table. So it's like if they're anywhere, you get the superpower. So let me get into the actual grade 1s. So the grade 1s in this deck are, there's only a few, which is Sapphire Pegasus, which has the same conditional text as these 2 effects down here, and then its own little effect up here, which is very reminiscent of the Sapphire Pegasus in the actual card game for Yu-Gi-Oh, which is you can put a Crystal Beast unit from your rear guard into your order zone. Essentially, you like crystallize it or kill it to call a superior call, which is like special summon from the deck a Crystal Beast to the same rear guard. So you can kind of like crystallize a card, get a card out of the deck, tutor, yada yada. It's the whole combo because you go into either Topaz Tiger or you go into Ruby Carbuncle. Ruby Carbuncle is always your target. Topaz Tiger is like the beater. He's the the way that they can hit for power that would normally be for grade 2 on the regular. So this is what you'll see is like you'll kind of have the gems in the order zone. You get rid of those gems to be able to do cool stuff with Topaz Tiger and stuff like that. And Carbuncle lets you get draws and does a whole bunch of craziness as well. So you got your 7 main Crystal Beasts there, as well as your Crystal Crystal Master. So then we have Crystal Keeper. I did not give them a perfect guard. So another thing that I did, this was another experiment, is well, let's not give them perfect guards. Let's try something a little bit different. And I made it where this card can be placed into your damage zone. So this was the second time that I'd done an effect similar to the Flame Swordsman thing. And it would just prevent any damage provided that you were able to put a Crystal Beast into your soul. So if you had a Crystal Beast in the Order Zone or a Crystal Beast in the rear guard, you could prevent any damage that would happen for the rest of the turn, as long as you were willing to take 1 damage, draw a card, and then be able to protect yourself throughout the rest of your opponent's attacks. So then you jump straight into the grade 3s. So Rainbow Dragon, and it says if you have 7 different named Crystal Beast cards in play, you can Superior Ride this unit from your hand, meaning that you can just put it on top of Crystal Master. So you can go straight into grade 3, which is a big jump, but if you manage to like assemble, once again, Voltron, you can go into this as early as turn 1, which is insane, and it does very similar effects to the card in the actual game, which is he can make himself super stacked in terms of power, and then he also has a whole bunch of other effects to make himself super powerful, and this puts all the cards into your soul, which again is that stack underneath your Vanguard that I've listed in other videos. And then you also have Rainbow Dark Dragon, which allows you to take those cards that were put into your soul and put them into the drop zone, which is the discard pile, and you can, do a similar effect to Rainbow Dragon in the actual cards, and he gets, much stronger and all that other cool stuff. And we also have Rainbow Zenith Dragon. So this was an addition made to it after I started remaking these cards, because Rainbow Zenith Dragon, Rainbow Over Dragon, and all those did not exist at the time when I initially made these. And Rainbow Zenith Dragon is just, he's a cool little piece, and he also helps units be able to do more stuff. And then we have Malefic Rainbow Dragon. So Malefic Rainbow Dragon was kind of like the win condition in this deck, but I would only play 1 to 2 of it whenever I built the deck, because it's very convoluted for the combo to happen. But if you manage to do it, again, you should win. This is how I built Yu-Gi Guard. You basically do what the cards are supposed to do, and you should win the game, unless the opponent has something to interact with you. So, and then finally, their ultimate unit, which is Rainbow Over Dragon, says pretty much it gains a whole bunch of effects based on how many Crystal Beasts are on the board. And if you manage to have all 7, he's just essentially God. He should win you the game. Once again, same as the Malefic Dragon. Play the combo the way that it's supposed to be played. You should win the game. Moving on to their order cards. They have Crystal Tree, set order. If you can manage to get this on the board turn 1, this is also before I did the Joey revamp and the Bakura revamps, so this is exactly how it was worded years ago with Crystal Tree when I first conceptualized it, which was essentially you get to search your deck for Crystal Beasts and put them into the set order zone. Crystal Bond, you can pretty much do the Sapphire Pegasus Carbuncle combo without the need of having either card in your hand, which is very beneficial. But to preface this, unlike spells in Yu-Gi-Oh, orders are once a turn. You can only use 1 order per turn under any circumstances. There is nothing outside of like possibly some game-breaking mechanic that allows you to play more than 1 in a turn. Moving on, we have Crystal Promise, which is more or less the same type of effect as what it does in Yu-Gi-Oh. You can pretty much call a Crystal Beast that's a set order to the rear guard so you can repeat your combos. Crystal Regeki. So this was divisive when I showed it to my friends, because it pretty much said that you could just kill anything, which at the current moment, to my knowledge in Vanguard, there is no way to interact with set orders at all. So Crystal Regeki was an ability to be able to remove the cards that are not supposed to be interacted with, which is quite interesting. Then we have Crystal Abundance. This is the Blitz order. It's an equip spell in Yu-Gi-Oh! In this, it pumps your guys, makes them a little bit stronger, and does some cool interactions with crystals. And all the Crystal Beast order cards actually say that they take the orders out of your order zone and put them back in your deck. So you're kind of like restocking, but you're also losing them from the board, so you're losing that board presence to be able to do all your other effects. But more or less, we'll move on to the grade 3 ones. These are like super powered effects that can possibly end the game, but these are gated by you having to go into the Rainbow Dragons in order to get them to work. And finally, Crystal Abundance, because Crystal Abundance. But yeah, so this is Jesse Anderson's deck, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And we have one more to go through, and I will have it up soon.